Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by and for returning to the old world. Today we're not looking back as far as the time of the Three Emperors. We're looking back at 2022, the year that was, from a hobby and a YouTube perspective. So, that being said, what were the plans for 2022? Well, really the plans I had were hobby-based, so let's start there. It's far more important than the YouTube stuff, after all. What were these plans? Well, coming out of the COVID world of 2020 and 2021, where I'd done a lot of work really just updating paint jobs, rebasing things, tackling the grey. For 2022, I wanted to continue that battle and work my way through the pile of shame, the mountain of opportunity, whatever you want to call it. Continue really getting stuff off the shelves where they've just spent ages and ages looking at me, begging to be painted. I also wanted to finish off getting my 40k orcs into a usable shape, with the possibility of getting them out onto the tabletop. And a big thing was completing my Napoleonic French project, which had languished for far too long, had seen huge changes really of what I intended to do with it over the years, and I was starting to resent the idea of having to paint them, so that further delayed getting anything done, etc, etc. So a real big aim for me this year was just knock that project on the head and get it to a state where I could say, yep, I'm happy with where I've got to. I don't need to look at it again for a while. It's done. Now, along the way, I did also build a bit of an interest in starting a new fantasy army, and then took the decision, after quite a bit of research into models that were out there, to go with dwarves. Now, I had thought about doing an army I've never painted before. I was looking at Skaven, and I was thinking about revisiting an army that I built before, but no longer have the models for, so like an orc and goblin force, but eventually settled on dwarves. Dwarves were the first race I collected properly for Warhammer Fantasy. I've been playing for years before that, but as an army that was built to be used actually in conjunction with the actual rules rather than house rules and me messing around with stuff as a kid, I wanted to revisit those. The dwarf army I've got is pretty badly painted, it's pretty badly beaten up. I didn't want to go back and redo all of that work. Thought good opportunity to do a bit of a refresher, bit of a different aesthetic, and go from there. Now, I will reuse some of the older models, a couple of which you can see as characters leading the force before you, but generally it's going to be a fresh start. How have I done against these plans? Well, I've been pretty successful. I'm really pleased with that. I've hit my wargame resolutions. I have painted a lot more than I've bought. Everything I've bought this year has been painted, and I managed to get the Napoleonic French project complete. There is a Army on Parade video available should you wish to have a look at it. I also have managed to get a few more games than I'd expected to, including a few games with my orcs, so all moving in the right sort of direction. Let's talk YouTube. So actually having a YouTube channel has been a big shift in my hobby. Previously, I was just using an old club WhatsApp group to chart my progress and chat about stuff. But I didn't really have an outlet for my more random, or indeed my more focused thoughts around the sort of hobbying I was doing. A lot of the people in the club I used to go to, they play Star Wars Legion, X-Wing now, things like that. I didn't pick up Legion, and I've not played X-Wing since first edition, so it wasn't really an outlet for me. So, having started a new army, which was the Dwarves, I thought this would be a really good opportunity for me to do something with YouTube and just give it a go, see what it was like. I made some content to cover a couple of months, thought wait and see how it goes. I wasn't really expecting to achieve much. I wasn't really expecting to last more than about 3 months or so. I just thought I'll give it a go, see what happens. But actually was quite pleasantly surprised by the broadly positive comments that I've received, the amount of engagement there's been, and I've enjoyed recording my thoughts and putting it out there, and I feel it has given me really a vehicle to have a voice in relation to wargaming. Now, it's a muted voice, it's a voice that not many people are hearing, but it is that opportunity for me to stick my 10 pence in, and as well as my regular Friday content, I've been able to throw out some ad hoc videos where I've been able really just to react to issues or debates of a particular point in time. I could stick a comment on someone else's video, but I thought, I might as well, if I'm going to say something, say it and just see where that goes. Now, over the past 6 months, I have been trying a bit of a range of content topics. Now, this is really partially driven by what interests me at that point in time and what I've wanted to talk about. And it's also touching on the range of interests I have within the hobby. I'm not all about Games Workshop. I'm not all about Warhammer Fantasy or 40k. Yes, Fantasy and 40k actually particularly are large parts of my wargaming hobby. But I have interest outside of that. I have interest in the history that sits behind wargaming, the historical stuff that is. So wanted to really touch on the bit more of the breadth of the things that I've got an interest in. Now, this has led from a YouTube perspective to somewhat mixed results. Some of my videos have barely scratched double figures. Others have managed 2,000-3,000 views, which was surprising, particularly when the first video to sort of get into 4 figures was launched. But for me, it's not really about chasing the numbers. Maybe as the algorithm gets to know me a bit better and I become a bit more sophisticated with my choice of content, perhaps I will see a change in those sort of numbers. But for me, it's not the be-all and end-all. It's a vehicle for me really just to discuss wargaming. And if people want to be along for the ride, then you're more than welcome, and, well, thank you very much. So that kind of in a nutshell was 2022. All that really leaves me to say now is, looking ahead, there isn't going to be any more videos this year. I'll be taking a brief hiatus over the festive period with a view to returning in January 2023 with some new resolutions, some new content, some new ideas. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's stuck out this video this long, who's interacted or viewed any of my other videos, or has been one of my opponents over the past year and given me some really good, interesting games over the tabletop. So thank you to all. I hope you have a really good festive period. Enjoy the holiday, assuming you're getting a holiday or you celebrate the festive period. I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Happy wargaming. I'm returned to the old world. See you in 2023.